Caleb, you talked a little bit about this, but in terms of how you guys have been playing it in recent weeks, it seems like every year you found a way to get your teams playing their best soccer at the end of the season. What have you been able to do to consistently get the guys in that form at this time of year?
Oh, that's a good question. I think a big part of it is probably the rhythm that I developed coaching in college for so many years. And obviously the format in college was you played for the NCAA tournament, and the regular season was a preparation for that. The rhythm that I learned through my mentors and the rhythm that I executed and developed as a head coach myself was always take a few lumps through the year and play the best teams you can, and then get them peaking at the end of the year going into the NCAA tournament. Obviously you have to do well enough to get in, and you want to get the highest seed possible. So there are a lot of parallels actually. Biggest difference is a lot less games, but I think that's probably the main reason. I would argue that that's the way you want to shape it up in any season, at any level, especially when, again, there's a tournament that decides the champion. I think the other thing is I try not to grind guys out as well too much in that middle part of the season. I'm really mindful of keeping them fresh and energized physically and mentally. And early in the year, I'm big on making sure they know their role, and perhaps sometimes that means that in the early stages of the team and the development of the team and the structure that they're not quite as free as they need to be like they are at the end of the year.
In terms of your preparation this week, how does it maybe change how you're going about it, given that you're not going to potentially know your opponent till Thursday night?
I think the good thing is we always prepare early in the week, mostly for ourselves and on a whole, because of the way we play, which is in a way where we're dictating the game and deciding it with a ball. It becomes a faceless team in a lot of ways. A lot of the things that we look to do in most games are very similar. And we start the week always with us, correcting past game things and then focusing on our daily maintenance and habits in our style of play. So really it doesn't change at all what we do, because 2 days out, 3 days out, that's when we start to really factor in the opponent a bit more in our game plan and all the things that relate to that in terms of shape and attacking rotations and set pieces. So we'll wait and sit idle. The guys know the scenarios. We know after tonight, if San Jose wins, we'll play San Jose, and we know the schedule and the rhythm the rest of the week, travel and all that. We also know the next day, depending on who wins. If San Jose doesn't win, then we'll play either Houston or KC, and we know the schedule and the scenarios for that and the travel for that as well. So the guys are well aware of everything right now. All they need to be focused on is us. And we had a good training session today, and the guys are buzzing. They were a bit edgy today. It was good. They were fighting, and that's what you want.
And I saw that Audie today still was not in training. Can you give us any sort of idea of where he's at heading into this series?
I wish I could. I don't know. I was told he was going to be in training this week a bit. So we'll see, obviously, as the week goes on. But wasn't in training today. So, tomorrow, who knows? But no firm update on when he'll be in or if he'll be in this game.
And this might be more of a question for the off season then, but in terms of just the training staff and the injury rehab, are you a bit concerned that you now have yet another player whose timeline is changing, seems to keep getting extended?
I think, as far as the timelines, that specific thing, it's tough, with soft tissue injuries, because there's no concrete, always black and white timeline that you follow. A lot of it's the player's recovery and how he progresses, and, players progress at different stages. But I think the big thing, and I've said it, is the amount of re-injuries. that have occurred. You're always going to have injuries. Everybody does in this league because of the travel and compacted windows and the climate changes and those things. So you're going to have injuries, but the re-injuries shouldn't occur. We've had far too many of those. So yeah, of course, at the end of the year, whether we win it all or lose in the next round, we're going to evaluate everything, irrespective of how we finish, like we always do. There's always things to get better. Even though we've had a very good year to this point, we will still reflect and evaluate every aspect of the club in looking to get better.
Coach, Jamie just asked you about the challenge of having Finado out. You've had some other key decisions and challenges at other positions, challenges that at least we can see from the outside. You had to make a call on a goalkeeper. You've had to find out a lot about your fullback core this year, balancing the midfield when David has been out. Looking back on that, what would you say was your most significant decision/challenge that you had to make during the season?
Yeah, good question. I think a lot of those decisions on the outside looking in become real challenging decisions. For me, they're oftentimes not that challenging because on the inside, I'm seeing a lot of things that you guys aren't. I'm around these guys every single day. I see every training, obviously. I'm really close to, every game and the performances they have in each game, and really close to the chemistry of the team, and try to have a really good, pulse on that. So that fingertip feel on these decisions, they're not, maybe as tough as you might think, because I'm close to those decisions on a daily basis, and try to have a really good, like I said, pulse on everything. So I go with the feel. It's part evidence, what I know, and a lot of the decisions have been, pretty easy because, like Alvis one's a good one, but that one came out of the blue. Zarek had been starting a lot of games and playing well, and the team been playing well. So you might think, wow, it's crazy to drop Zarek and put Alvis in. For me, I just saw it. I saw Alvis, the way he was training, and just had a sense of it. So I really try to just pay attention every day and keep my eyes and ears peeled and open, and I think that helps me sometimes make those type of decisions. It's fun to have options as well. I think that's the thing this year. We've had a lot of good options, and on these decisions, a lot of times too, you can't make a wrong one. No matter who you put in, you're gonna have a good guy that's pretty good. Where, last year I thought, there were some decisions that you probably knew no matter what you did, it was gonna be the wrong one. And you saw that in the results. So it's a good team and great depth, and that's a credit to the off-season work that Gavin, myself, Ned did to rebuild our depth like it was in 2015.
I think you might have alluded to this answer a bit when you talked to Jamie about how you managed the grind of the season. But coming off the second time in your professional coaching career where you finished top of the regular season table, I was hoping you can compare where you are professionally as a coach now and what you know, and how knowledgeable you are relative to the competition league to where you felt you were in 2013.
Yeah, I'm proud of the fact that, in my 5 years, twice we've finished top of the West at the end of a 34-game season in a very difficult conference. You saw this year, Dallas didn't make the playoffs, and so you can't take it for granted how difficult it is in this league to make the playoffs even. But to finish the top of the West twice, and then obviously win MLS Cup, and win the West in the tournament that year. Not gonna lie, I'm proud of that. I'm ticked off still that we missed the playoffs twice by a point and 2 points. We cut it too close in terms of peaking the team, and I learned from those years, got better from those years as well. But 3 years, the 3 years that were successful were very successful, and I'm proud of that. As far as where stack up with competition. I don't think that way, but ultimately, I've been with this club 5 years, in this league 5 years, and think we've proven that we know how to win, and I'm proud of that.
You mentioned how close you were to making the playoffs those other 2 years, and I think that's what stuck out about Sunday is that it was the same opponent as a year ago. The stakes were a lot different, but you wanted to win both of those games, and the team's performance was 180 degrees different.
Yeah.
Now that you've had a couple of days to reflect on it, do you feel a certain sense of vindication that you can put the ghosts of not only last season, but particularly the game at BC Place behind you, behind the team?
I think what's important is to be able to make corrections. I think where clubs and coaches fall short is they get stubborn, and they think that what worked last year is going to work again this year, and then when they don't succeed, they keep doing the same thing. And we've proven we can reflect and correct and adjust, and that's key. That's real key in long-term sustainment in this league. Is you have your core philosophies in building rosters and playing the game the way you think the game needs to be played, figuring out how to win in this league, all those things, manager. You have your core philosophies, but when things don't work, you gotta be willing to change and be open-minded and reflect on that and recognize it and not be stubborn and staying ahead of those things. So I look at the down years that we've had, call them down years. It's nothing like some teams' down years. Let's be honest. Let's be right about that. We missed it by 1 point, 2 points. So those feel like failures. Those aren't completely down years where you're, the wheels are falling off like some clubs and you're bottom of the table. And that happens. That happens. It happened this year to some clubs that were very successful. That didn't happen to us. And I think that's why we bounced right back too. We weren't far off it, but I also think we bounced back because we reflected the right way and made adjustments, made changes, and went back to work. And we'll do the same this year. We're not going to rest on our laurels no matter how this ends. Our hope is that we're going to play 5 more games and win a cup. But no matter what, we're gonna keep improving, and you have to in this league. It's not a forgiving league if you don't keep improving. And I think that's important. What worked last year, 2 years ago, changes quickly. The best stadium 10 years ago is the worst now. Those are things that you have to think about. And we do always as a club.